Okay, today we are going to work out the SAT release test number 10. Are you ready? We're going to start out. The first part is a non-calculator section. The test is 25 minutes. There are 20 questions. So that means you get a minute and a quarter per question. So this is 1.25 minutes per question. Okay, so if we're not getting the question in a little over a minute, you're eliminating answers that you're not sure of and guessing. If you have time, you can come back and work on them, but pretty much we usually don't have time. This is a time test, and they're planning on not giving you enough time. I would be familiar with the directions before you take the test, so you're not using any of your test time to read the directions. So this section, there's no calculator. All variables and expressions are used, represent real numbers unless otherwise indicated. The figures provided in this test are drawn to scale unless otherwise indicated. All figures lie in a plane unless otherwise indicated. Unless otherwise indicated, the domain of a given function f is the set of all real numbers x, for which f of x is a real number. I have some geometry equations for area and volume. I also am given that the number of degrees in the arc of a circle is 360 degrees. Number of radians of arc in a circle is 2 pi radians. And the sum of the measures in degree of the angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. All right, let's get started. Number 1, what is the value of z that satisfies the equation above? So I'm solving for z. So I'm going to subtract z on both sides. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. So this is z plus 1 equals 0. Subtract 1 for both sides. And z equals negative 1. 1 down. Let's go. Number 2. A television with a price of $300 is to be purchased with an initial payment of $60 and weekly payments of $30. Which of the following equations can be used to find the number of weekly payments W required to complete the purchase, assuming there are no taxes or fees? This is a linear equation where I'm using y equals mx plus b. So the total price is $300. So this is my y. My initial payment of 60. This is b. I'm making 30 payments, weekly payments. So 30x plus b, or w. So I guess this is weekly payments instead of x. So enter choice C here. Number 3. The table above shows shipping charges for an online retailer that sells sporting goods. There is a linear relationship between the shipping charge and the weight of the merchandise. Which function can be used to determine the total shipping charge, f of x in dollars, for an order with a merchandise weight of x pounds? This is a non-calculator question, so I am going to be using estimating. So when we're looking at these, here's my x and here's my y values. A lot of times we are checking out what the difference is here. These are really easy since these are not exact. I'm going to estimate. So from 17 to 22, this is approximately 5. From 22 to 32, this is approximately 10. And from 32 to 52 is approximately 20. So I'm going to use approximation here. So again, this is standard linear equation where y equals mx plus b, where slope is going to be the change in y divided by the change in x. So if I take the change in y is 5 divided by the change of x, which is 5, I get 1. So just looking at the first piece saying the slope is approximately 1, I have that in A and B, but not in C and D. So I can eliminate C and D right away. So to find out what B is, I would actually need to go back and subtract 5. So if I'm 17 here, I know this would be 12. So here is my answer. All right, let's try number 3. Number 4. The line in the XY plane represents the relationship between the height, x in feet, and the base diameter x in feet for the cylindrical Doric columns in ancient Greek architecture. How much greater is the height of a Doric column that has a base diameter of 5 feet than the height of a Doric column that has a base diameter of 2 feet? So the x-axis is the diameter, the y-axis is height. So this is asking me how much greater is the height. Greater, so I'm doing a subtraction. So I'm comparing at 2 and 5 feet. So make sure you answer the question. It's asking how much greater. So this is going to be 35 minus 14, which is 21. So make sure you answer the question. There's a lot of these kinds of questions on here. Number 5. If x is greater than 0, which of the following is equivalent to the given expression? The index is not shown, so it is 2. So rewriting this, I know I could rewrite this as 3 times 3 and x times x. For a square root function, I take 2 out from under the radical. So this becomes 3x. Number 6. What are all the values of x that satisfy the equation above? I know I can factor the numerator. This is a difference of squares. So this is x plus 1 and x minus 1 over my denominator of x minus 1 equals negative 2. I know that anything divided by itself is 1. So x minus 1 simplifies to 1.
With Monday.com. Just go to Monday.com and start tracking any.
So I'm left with x plus 1 equals negative 2. So I'm going to subtract 1 from each side. So I get x equals negative 3. I am not including negative 1 because my function has a hole there. Right, number 7. The graph of y equals f of x is shown in the xy plane. What is the value of f at x equals 0? So I'm looking at where x equals 0. So x is 0 here. It's asking me what's the y value. So y is 4. All right, let's try number 8. Here's a geometry problem. In the figure above, point B lies on segment AD. What is the value of 3x? So we want to make sure we're answering the question here. I know for a line, I have 180 degrees. Right here, I have a symbol telling me this is a right angle, so I know this is 90 degrees. So I know from here to here is 90 degrees. So I can set up my equation to say x plus 2x plus 2x equals 90. I'm going to combine like terms. X plus 2x plus 2x is 5x equals 90. I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So 5 into 90. 5 goes in once. The remainder of 4. 5 into 40 is 18. So x equals 18. So, but it's asking me for what's 3x. So 18 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24. Carry a 2, so 3 times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 54. So make sure you answer the question. Notice it has 18 as an answer, but that's not it's asking for, so make sure you answer the question. Number 9. Which of the following is the equation of line L in the xy plane above? Looking at the graph, I know that I have a negative slope. And I know that I have a negative y-intercept. Okay, so I don't see the equation in y-intercept form. So I'm going to solve one of these equations for y-intercept form. So I'm going to just look at this first one here. So if I'm solving for y, this is negative y equals negative x minus 4. Dividing by negative 1, I get y equals x plus 4. So what I see is this is a positive slope. So I know my answers cannot be these two. So I know my answer has to be C or D. And if I see where I ended up here with this minus 4, it is plus 4. So I'm going to solve this one. So I get y equals negative x minus 4. There we go. All right, number 10. The graph of y equals x squared plus 10x plus 12 is shown. If the graph crosses the y-axis at the point 0k, what is the value of k? So I know here x equals 0. So if I substitute x equals 0, this becomes 0. 10 times 0, this becomes 0. So k equals 12.
It was thick.
All right, let's try 11.
Loved it. Once I got started, I could not stop.
A circle in the xy plane has center 5, 7. Oop, not what I want.
25.
No, hang on. There we go. Has a center at 5, 7, which is H and K, and a radius equals 2. Which of the following is the equation of a circle? So from geometry, the equation of a circle is x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals the radius squared. So immediately looking, this is not the radius squared, so I'm not these two. So it's x minus h and x minus k. All right, number 12. In another geometry problem, in the figure above, triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF. What is the value of the cosine of angle E? Okay, so similar means I am proportional. Okay, so all right angles are proportional. Here's trig term. So for trig, we use the acronym SOHCAHTOA to remember the vocabulary. So this is asking about cosine. So cosine is equal to adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. So this is asking me for angle E. The corresponding angle in this triangle is angle B. So opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse, and the adjacent leg is here. So the cosine of angle E is going to be equal to the adjacent, 12 divided by the hypotenuse, 13. All right, number 12. 13. We're on 13. In the xy plane, the graph of the function f of x equals x squared plus 5x plus 4 has two intercepts. What is the distance between the intercepts? Okay, so we're going to make sure we answer the question. So I'm going to start out with I am in a factor. So I want to know what two values multiplied together that equal 4 when I add them together total 5. So the factors of 4 are 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. So I know I am going to use 1 times 4. So this is going to be x plus 4 and x plus 1 equals 0 factored. So solving for x, this is x equals negative 4 and x equals negative 1. So on a number line, the distance between 4 and negative 1 is 3. (14) What are all the values x that satisfy the given equation? Okay, so starting out with, I have a variable that's under a radical. So to undo the radical, I want to apply the inverse. So the inverse of square root is squaring. Whatever I do on one side of the equation, I have to do on the other side of the equation. So the left side is 4x equals x minus 3 times x minus 3. So I'm going to double distribute. So I get 4x equals x squared minus 3x plus 9. So I'm going to combine like terms. 4x equals x squared minus 6x plus 9. I'm going to move this term to the right side so I can factor. I need my equation equal to 0. So minus 4x minus 4x. So I get 0 equals x squared minus 10x plus 9. So I'm going to factor. What are the factors of 9? 1 times 9 and 3 times 3. So I am looking at, they're the same sign. And when I add them together, they're negative 10. So I know I'm using these factors. So this is going to be x minus 9 and x minus 1. So this is at x equals 9 and x equals 1. When I'm done, I have to go back and check these in my original equation. So let's check these in my original equation. So I'm going to start out with x equals 1. So this is 4 times 1, the square root. And does that equal 1 minus 3? The square root of 4 is 2. I could say plus or minus 2. And this is negative 2. So plus or minus 2 does not equal just negative 2. So x equals 1 is an extraneous solution. So I am not including it. And x equals 9. So this is going to be, oh, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to take plus or minus. I'm going to just say plus 2 here. So at x equals 9, so this is going to be 4 times 9, the square root, and 9 minus 3. 9 times 4 is 36, so 6 equals 6. So this checks out. So this one is okay. So number 1 is false. Number 2 is true. This is only 2. All right, let's try number 15. In the system of equations above, A is a constant. For which of the following values of A does the system have no solution? So no solution means the slope is the same. I have parallel lines. So I want to set up for the same ratio of x and y. So I see I have 2y here, and I have 1y here. So I'm going to multiply this equation times 2. So I'm going to multiply 2 times every term. So minus 6x plus 2y equals 12. Now I'm looking at these two. So here I would have the same ratio now. So x or a equals negative 6. Okay, we're finished with the multiple choice questions here. There's some directions here for the free response. For the free response, you need to make sure you grid in your result. That's the only thing that they're going to grade. I can grid in as fractions or decimals. You should be aware of all these directions before the test, not wasting your time during the test. And then I need to make sure that I understand that when I am putting my answers in the box, I need to either left justify or right justify, but don't center justify. Center justify will be marked wrong. The free response questions are not necessarily harder, so I would make sure I leave some time. Some of them are quite simple, but you'll have almost a 0% chance of getting them right, guessing any number. So let's start out with the first one here. A manufacturer shipped units of a certain product to 2 locations. The equation above shows the total shipping cost T and dollars for shipping C units to the closer location and shipping F units to the farther location. If the total shipping costs were $47,000 and 3,000 units were shipped to the further location, how many units were shipped to the closer location? So I know that the total shipping costs were $47,000. And I want to solve for C. So this is 5C. Oops. And 12 times 3,000 here. Okay, so now I need to solve for C. So 47,000 equals 5C. 12 times 3,000 is 36,000. So I'm going to subtract 36,000. Whatever I do on one side, I do to the other side to keep my equation equal. So I have 11,000 equals 5C. So I'm dividing both sides by 5. So 5 into 11,000. 5 goes into 11 two times, which is 10. 5 goes into 10 twice. The remainder of 0. So C equals 2,200, and you're going to grid in 2,200. All right, 17. If A and B are the solutions to the equation above, what is the value of A minus B? So make sure you answer the question again. So when I have absolute value, I set up two equations. So I know the first equation is going to be plus times the absolute value. So this is 2x plus 1 equals 5. And my second equation, I set up the minus 2x plus 1 equals 5. So since I'm not distributing anything, because this is plus 1 here, I am solving for x. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. I get 2x equals 4. So x equals 2. I need to distribute the negative 1 on both of my inside terms. So negative 2x minus 1 equals 5. Solving for x, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So negative 2x equals 6. So x equals negative 3. So A minus B. I want to find the distance. So it doesn't matter which one I subtract. I'm going to take the absolute value. So this can be either 2 minus negative 3 or negative 3 minus 2. It doesn't matter. I'm going to get 5 either way. So my answer is 5. 18. Juan purchased an antique that had a value of $200 at the time of purchase. Each year, the value of the antique is estimated to increase 10% over its value the previous year. The estimated value of the antique in dollars 2 years after the purchase can be represented by the expression 200A, where A is a constant. What is the value of A? Okay, so since I know I'm increasing by a percent, I know I have an exponential equation. So my equation for exponential is f of x equals ab to the x. When I'm increasing by 10%, so that means I have the 100% plus 10 more percent. So I'm at 110%. So we talk in percent, but I work as an equation in decimals. is a decimal. Okay, so my initial value, this is my initial value. And this is my rate B. So my initial value is I started out at 200. So F 2 years later is going to be 200 times 1.1 squared. So my A is this 1.1 squared. And 1.1 is 11 times 11. So this is going to be 200 times 1.21. So this is my A value. Right, 19. Based on the systems of equation above, what is the value of 5x plus 5y? So this is another one where make sure you answer the question. If I just add my two equations together, 2x plus 3x is 5x. 3y plus 2y is 5y, of which this is what I'm looking for, equals 1200 plus 1300, which is 2500. So my answer is 2500. Number 20. If u plus t equals 5 and u minus t equals 2, what is the value of u minus t times the quantity u squared minus t squared? Okay, so I see u minus t equals 2, so I can substitute 2 here. And then I see u squared minus t squared is really the difference of perfect squares.
They say life is all about
So that
making
u
choices.
plus t and u minus t.
Breast cancer. Not the exact type.
So now I'm going to substitute in u plus t is 5 and u minus t is 2. So 2 times 5 is 10, times 2 is 20. Okay, we finished the non-calculator section. Now we're going to move to the calculator section. I think you get a 5-minute break between tests. We have 55 minutes to do 38 questions. That means you have 1.44 minutes per question. So if you're not getting the question in a minute and a half, you're eliminating the answers that you don't know and choosing from the remaining ones. If you have time, you'll come back. These are the exact same directions as the non-calculator questions. The only difference is you're allowed to use a calculator. I have the same formulas and the same information. Anything that's not given, you're expected to have memorized. Okay, so number 1. A helicopter initially hovering 40 feet above the ground begins to gain altitude at a rate of 21 feet per second. Which of the following function represents the helicopter's altitude above the ground y in feet t seconds after the helicopter begins to gain altitude? Okay, so this is a right triangle. Here's my helicopter. Here's my altitude here, which is my height. And it says we are 40 feet above the ground. And my slope, so this is y equals mx plus b. So my slope is 21 feet per second. That's my rate. My y-intercept b is 40. So this is going to be 21x plus 40. So we got B. So this one's not in the correct order, but got the information. Number 2. A text messaging plan charges a flat fee of $5 per month for up to 100 text messages sent, plus 25 cents for each additional text message sent that month. Which of the following graphs represents the cost Y of sending X texts in a month? So the flat fee is going to be the horizontal amount. So these two are immediately eliminated. And then they're charging 25 cents extra per month. So it's going up. So here is the charge. This is how this originally started, not what's going on today. All right, let's try number 3. Jake buys a bag of popcorn at a movie. He eats half of the popcorn during the first 15 minutes of the preview. After eating half the popcorn, he stops eating for the next 30 minutes. Then he gradually eats the popcorn until he eventually spills all of the remaining popcorn. Which of the following graphs could represent the solution? So here I'm eating. I stop eating. I'm eating again. And then I have nothing left because I dropped them on the floor. Oops. All right, number 4. If 20 minus x equals 15, what is the value of 3x? So make sure we answer the question. So solving for x, I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. So I get minus x equals minus 5. Divide by negative 1. So I get x equals 5. And I want to know what is 3 times x. So 3 times 5 is 15. So answer the question. If you see, it has 5 as an answer choice, but it's not asking for x. It wants to know 3 times x. For the function f defined above, what is the value at x equals negative 1? So I'm substituting x equals negative 1 for x. So this is negative 1 plus 3 divided by 2. So negative 1 plus 3 is 2. Divided by 2 is 1. A lot of students will put negative 3 plus 1 divided by 2, and they'll get the wrong answer. Another thing you can do is you can put this in fractions in your calculator. To use fractions, I want alpha and y equals, and you can go look in the table. But I have a lot of students that if you did not put this in parentheses, if you just type it in negative 1 plus 3 divided by 2, you won't get the right answer. So that would be a calculator mistake. All right, number 6. Which of the following is equivalent to 2x times the quantity x squared minus 3x? So when I'm distributing, this is going to be, I'm going to add the exponents. So this is going to be 2x cubed minus 6x squared. So add exponents when I'm multiplying variables. 7. A retail company has 50 large stores located at different areas throughout a state. Oops. A researcher for the company believes that employee job benefits varies greatly from store to store. Job satisfaction. Which of the following sampling tool methods is most appropriate to estimate the proportion of all employees of the company who are satisfied with their job? When I am doing surveys, I need to make sure I'm random and I'm covering all the areas that I'm talking about. Okay, so the random is really important. All right, let's try 8. The two graphs above show the total amount of money that Ian and Jeremy each have deposited into their savings accounts for the first 7 weeks after opening their accounts. After they made their initial deposit, how much more did Ian deposit each week than Jeremy? So this is a slope question. So I want to know what the slope is. So for Ian, slope is change in y divided by the change in x. So for Ian, the change in y, I'm going to use this right here, which is going to be 100 by the change in x, which is 1. So the slope is 100. And for Jeremy, the change in y is going to be 50 divided by the change in x, which is 100, which is 50. So it's asking me what's the difference, how much more. So 100 minus 50 is 50. Make sure you answer the question. The function h is defined above. What is the value of h at x equals 5 minus h at x equals 3? So this is going to be 2 to the 5th minus 2 cubed. Putting that in my calculator, I get 24. Oops. 10. A researcher surveyed a random sample of students from a large university about how often they see movies. Using the sample data, the researcher estimated that 23% of the students in the population saw a movie at least once a month. The margin of error for this estimate is 4%. Which of the following is the most appropriate conclusion made about all students at the university based on the given information? So plausible means it's most likely to happen. And when I'm talking about 23% plus or minus 4%, so that makes my range from 19% to 27%. So here's the most plausible conclusion. All right, 11. The table above shows 2 lists of numbers. Which of the following is a true statement comparing list A and list B? So this is another statistics question. The table above shows 2 lists of numbers. Which list is true? So this is talking about mean and standard deviation. So mean is the average, and standard deviation is the distance from the average. Okay, so sometimes we show that as the sigma symbol. Look up standard deviation if you want a little bit more information. So if I have two different lists of numbers, the mean couldn't possibly the means are the same. So let's add these up to find the mean. So I'm going to add up 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. So the mean is 3.5 for list A. And if I add 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4 plus 5, I get the mean is 3.5 for list B. So I know the means are the same. So I immediately can cross out choices C and D. And if I have different numbers, each number isn't going to be exactly the same distance from the mean. So my standard deviations have to be different. I don't have the same list. Okay, let's try 12. A book was on sale for 40% off its original price. If the sale of the book was $18, what was the original price of the book? Assume there is no sales tax. So I know my sale is going to be how much I paid. So it was 50% off. So I paid 60%, but I don't use fraction. I use decimals in my equation. So 0.6 times my original. So the sale I'm going to substitute in is 18 equals 0.6 times the original. So I'm going to divide both sides by 0.6. And I get the original is $30. All right, let's try number 13. Three colonies of insects were each treated with a different pesticide over an 8-week period to test the effectiveness of the three pesticides. Colonies A, B, and C were treated with pesticides A, B, and C, respectively. Each pesticide was applied every 2 weeks to one of the three colonies over the 8-week period. The bar graph shows the insect counts for each of the three colonies 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8 weeks after the initial treatment. Which of the following colonies showed a decrease in size every 2 weeks after the initial treatment with the pesticide? So from the A is going down every single time. Colony number B is going down every single time. But colony C did not clearly go down. So A and B go down, but not C. Okay, so A and B went down, but not colony C. So 1 and 2 only. Next question. Of the following, which is closest to the ratio of the total number of insects in all three colonies in week 8 to the total number of insects at the time of the initial treatment? Okay, so at week 8, I'm estimating I have about 18 here. I have about 10 here and 50 here. And at the initial, I think this is about 80. This one I would call 65. And this one I'd call 55. So I'm going to compare week 8 to the initial. So I'm going to add up week 8 which is going to be 18 plus 10 plus 50, and compare that to my initial, which is 80 plus 65 plus 55. So I get a ratio of 78 to 200. So looking at this in terms of a fraction, this is about 78 to 200 and approximately 40 over 100, which if I simplify that turns out to be about 2 to 5. So I need to estimate. This is an estimating question. So 2 to 5. Okay, we got another geometry problem here. A right circular cone has a volume of 24 cubic inches. If the height of the cone is 2 inches, what is the radius in inches of the base of the cone? This is one of the formulas given on the front of the test. So this is volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. So 24 pi is my volume. The height of the cone is 2 inches. So I'm substituting in 24 pi equals 1/3 pi r squared, and h is 2. So I'm solving for r. So first I want to isolate r squared. To do that, I'm going to divide by everything that's next to it. So I'm going to divide by 1/3 pi times 2. Whatever I do to one side, I need to do the other side to keep my equation equal. Okay, so 3 is logically equivalent in the numerator. So this is going to, when pi divided by pi simplifies to 1. So this is going to be 24 times 3 divided by 2 equals r squared. So I want r, not r squared. So to undo squared, I'm going to take the inverse, which is square root. So 24 times 3 divided by 2 is 36. So the square root of 36 equals r. So 6 equals r. Right, 16. In 2015, the populations of city X and city Y were equal. From 2010 to 2015, the population of city X increased by 20%, and the population of city Y decreased by 10%. If the population of city X was 120,000 in 2010, what was the population of city Y in 2010? So I made a chart here and I called this city X and city Y. And I wanted to know what was going on in 2010 and 2015. So I called city X and city Y's population Y. Okay, in city X, it says the population increased by 20%. So 100% plus 20% is 120%. So we talk about this rate in percent, but as a decimal, that's 1.2. So in 2015, whatever the population was there, it's 1.2 times X. And it says in City X was 120,000 in 2010. So this was 120,000. So this is going to be 1.2 times 120,000, which is 144,000 people. So next it says City Y equals City X's population in 2015. So City Y's population is 144,000. And it says that City Y's population decreased by 10%. So this is going to be 100% minus 10%. So they're at 90%, which is 0.9. So this is going to be 0.9 times Y equals 144,000. So dividing both sides by 0.9, I get Y equals 160,000. So I found this was really easy if I just made a chart with the dates. Okay, we got another geometry problem here. The volume of a sphere is given by the formula volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed, where r is the radius of the sphere. Which of the following gives the radius of the sphere in terms of the volume of the sphere? So I want to solve for r. R equals what? So I'm starting out with volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. So I want to isolate the variable r cubed. So I'm going to divide by what's next to it. 4/3 pi. Whatever I do to the left, I need to do to the right to keep my equations equal. So 3 is logically equivalent with the numerator. So this is going to be 3v divided by 4 pi equals r cubed. So I want to undo the cubing. To undo the cubing, I'm going to take the cubed root. So the cubed root, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side to keep my equation equal. So r equals the cubed root of 3v divided by 4 pi, which is answer choice D. Right, 18. The table above shows the results of a survey in which tablet users were asked how often they would watch video advertisements in order to access streaming content for free. Based on the table, which of the following is closest to the probability that a tablet user answered always, given that the tablet user did not answer never? So my ratio is always to not never. Okay, so always is 30.9 and not never is going to be 24.3 plus 13.5 plus 30.9, which is 68.7. So 30.9 divided by 68.7 turns out to be 0.4497, which is approximately 0.45. In the equation above, A is a constant. The graph of the equation in the xy plane is a parabola. Which of the following is true about the parabola? Okay, so since I have a negative sign before here, I know I have a parabola that opens down. So this is a maximum here. So I'm not talking about a minimum. And then my maximum is here is H and here is K. So this is H equals 3. So it is not -3 and K equals A. So answer choice D. Right, number 20. The maximum value of a data set consisting of 25 positive integers is 84. A new data set consisting of 26 integers is created by including 96 in the original data set. Which of the following measures must be 12 greater for the new data set than the original set? So I have a bunch of numbers, and I end at 84. And my next data set, I have the same numbers. I have my 84, and then I added another number, 96. So here I have 25 integers, here I have 26. So mean is the average. So the average is going to change because I'm adding in another number, but not by 12. The median is the middle number. So the middle number is not going to be a difference of 12. The range, so range is maximum minus the minimum. So whatever my first number is here is the same. So if I'm looking between 84 and 96, the difference between 84 and 96 is 12. So this difference and this difference, there's going to be a difference of 12 more for the second set. So this is about my range. The standard deviation, again, is the distance from the mean. And that won't be a difference of 12. 21, got a chemistry problem here. Clayton will mix X milliliters of a 10% by mass saline solution with Y millimeters of a 20% by mass saline solution in order to create a 10% by mass saline solution. The equation above represents this situation. If Clayton uses 100 milliliters of the 20% solution by mass, how many milliliters of the 10% solution by mass solution must he use? So this 20 millimeters is my Y value. So I'm going to substitute this in for Y, and then I need to solve for X. So this is asking me what does X equal in my equation. So 0.10X plus 0.20 times 100 equals 0.18 times X plus 100. Okay, so I'm going to distribute here and multiply out. So I get 0.10X plus 20 equals 0.18X plus 18. So I'm going to subtract 0.10X, 0.10X. So 20 equals 0.08X plus 18. Subtract 18. So I get 2 equals 0.08X. I'm going to divide both sides by 0.08, 0.08, and I get x equals 25. The first year Eleanor organized a fundraising event, she invited 30 people. For each of the next 5 years, she invited double the number of people she had invited the previous year. If f of n is the number of people invited to the fundraiser after n years, Eleanor began organizing the event. Which of the following statement best describes the function f? So I know this is exponential because I'm multiplying. So doubling is multiplying. I'm inviting more people. So I'm not decreasing. It's not linear. And I'm not decreasing. So I have an exponential and I'm increasing. 23. Some of the values of x and their corresponding values of y are shown in the table above. Where a is a constant, if there is a linear relationship between x and y, which of the following equation represents the relationship? Okay, so when I'm looking at these x and y, I want to see what's the difference. To go from a to 3a, I added 2a. From 3a to 5a, I'm adding 2a. For y, to go from a to minus a, I'm subtracting an a. To go from minus 1a to minus 2a, I'm subtracting an a. So this is the change in x, and this is the change in y. So slope is change in y divided by the change in x. So my change in y is minus a, and my change in x is 2a. So simplifying, my slope is negative a half. So I know I'm looking for a negative slope. So I'm just going to solve the first one to see do I have a positive or negative slope, because the a and b will be the same and c and d will be the same. So I'm going to say x plus 2y equals a. So subtracting x from both sides, I get 2y equals negative x plus a. And I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So I do have a negative slope here. So I know a and b are possible, and c and d are not. So now I'm going to use my first point here. So I'm going to come back and substitute my values with my first point. So I'm going to substitute in for y equals negative a half x plus a over 2. So y equals 0 equals negative a half, and x equals a plus a over 2. So I have 0 equals negative a over 2 plus a over 2. So 0 equals 0. This is correct. So I know the first answer is correct. 24. The scatter plot above shows the number of registered voters X and the number of people who voted in the last election Y for 7 districts in a town. A line of best fit for the data is also shown. Which of the following could be the equation of the line of best fit? So the line of best fit will have half of the points above and half of the points below is where it is. It's fit in the best in the middle. So I know just looking at this, my slope is positive. So I know I can eliminate A and C because those are negative slopes. So now I just want to get an idea, is my slope a half or 2? So just picking 2 points, I'm going to pick these 2 points because those look the easiest. So slope is change in y, so 70 to 80 is 10. And change in x, 140 to 160 is 20. So 10 divided by 20 is a half. So my slope is a half. "25. The system of equations above is graphed in the xy plane. What is the x coordinate of the intersection of point xy in the system? You can use any method you want. You can do this by graphing. You can do this by substitution, or you can use this by matrices. And I found a YouTube video by Mario's Math Tutoring called Using Matrices to Solve Systems of Equations. On the TI-84 calculator, and he goes through the directions step by step. Since I have my information in standard form, I am going to put the information in as 2.4 minus 1.5, 1.6, 0.5, x and y, and this is 0.3 and negative 1.3. So you're going to put it in the order the way we have the information. So this is going to be a times x equals b. So I'm going to take the inverse, a inverse times a times x equals a inverse times b. This is my identity equals a inverse times b. So I get x equals a inverse times b. And my solution is minus 0.5 and minus 1. And it's asking for x. So my solution here is minus 0.5. So I'd go back and look at this Miss Mario's Math Tutoring video for extra help, and I have it in my playlist. "26. Keith modeled the growth over several hundred years of tree population by estimating the number of trees' pollen grains per square centimeter that were deposited each year within layers of a lake sediment. He estimated there were 300 pollen grains per square centimeter the first year the grains were deposited, with a 1% annual increase in the number of grains per square centimeters thereafter. Which of the following function models P of t, the number of pollen grains per square centimeter, t years after the first year the grains were deposited?" So this is exponential. So exponential, my equation, parent function is f of x equals ab to the x, where a is my initial value, b is my base or rate, and x is my variable, my years. So my initial value is 310. My rate is a 1% increase, so that means I have 100% plus 1%, so I have 101%, and as a decimal, that's going to be 1.01 is how I work with that. So this is going to be f of x equals 310 times 1.01 to the t, which is answer choice D. All right, 27. Based on the equation above, what is the value of 3x minus 2? So make sure we answer the question. So I have a linear equation that starts with a fraction. So the first thing I want to do is clear my fraction. I'm going to multiply by what's in the denominator here. So I have to distribute 3 on each term. So 3 times 2/3 is 2. 9x minus 6. 3 times -4 is -12. 3 times 9x is 27x. And 3 times -6 is -18. Next, I'm going to distribute my 2 across my 2 inside terms. So I get 18x minus 12 equals 27x minus 18. I'm going to combine like terms. 18x minus 24 equals, 27x minus 18. So I'm going to subtract 18x. So -24 equals 9x minus 18. I'm going to add 18, and I get -6 equals 9x. Divide by 9, and I get -2/3 equals x. So the question is, I want 3x minus 2. So 3x minus 2, so 3 times -2/3 minus 2. So this is -2 minus 2 is -4. So make sure you answer the question. It didn't ask for just x. It asked for what is 3x minus 2. (28) The function f is defined above. If k is a positive integer, which of the following could represent the graph of f of x in the plane? So I have 2 x-intercepts. So I know one of the x-intercepts is at x equals -3. So here is a -3. I don't have a -3, so I'm not B. I don't have a -3, so I'm not C. And here's a -3. So next I have x times x. So that's going to begin with a positive x squared. So I know my parabola is going to open up. So I know I'm going to be answer choice D, because this is opening down. 29. Oops. The formula above can be used to approximate the height h of an adult male based on the length L in inches of his femur. What is the meaning of 1.88 in this context? So this is a linear equation. where y equals mx plus b. So the 1.88 is the slope or the rate. And I'm talking about his height. So the approximate increase in the man's height in inches for each 1 inch increase in his femur length. So I'm counting by ones with the variable. $30. In quadrilateral ABCD above, segment AD is parallel to segment BC, and the distance from CD is half of AB. What is the measure of angle B? Okay, another geometry problem here. Okay, so I'm drawing in a new point, F. I'm drawing this in perpendicular here. So I have a square. Okay. And I'm going to call this X here. And I have that C to D is half of A to B. So if I'm calling C to D X, then this is going to be 2 times X. So when I have a right triangle where I have one side as X and the hypotenuse as 2 times X, one of the formulas on the front of the screen says I have a 30, 60, 90 right triangle when I have a ratio of x times the square root of 3, and 2x. So the side that's across from x is 30, and this side is 60. So it's asking me what is this angle right here. So I'm going to add 90 plus 60, and I get 150 degrees. $31. Okay, we're to the free response section, same directions as the no calculator. Lynn has $8 to spend on apples and oranges. Apples cost 65 cents each, and oranges cost 75 cents each. If there is no tax on this purchase and she buys 5 apples, what is the maximum number of whole oranges she can buy? So this is 65 cents times 5, which is $3.25 on apples. So she has $8, so I'm going to subtract out the $3.25. So she has $4.75 remaining. So I have $4.75 to divide by each orange, which is 75 cents. And this turns out to be 6.3 repeating. So I can buy, so my answer is 6 oranges. Okay, so it's just a whole orange. $32. In the triangle above, A equals 34. What is the value of B plus C? And I know in a triangle, this is one of the equations given on the front, that the Triangle Sum Theorem says when I add all 3 angles, so the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C totals 180 degrees in a triangle. We said A is 34 degrees. What is B plus C? So I'm going to just subtract 34 degrees. So I get B plus C equals 146 degrees. So free response is 146. Let's try 33. If the mean of the 5 numbers above is 1600, what is the value of x? So if I add all my numbers, it says it is 1600 times 5, right? I have 5 numbers. So 1600 times 5 is 8,000. So I know when I add all my numbers, they total 8,000. So now I'm going to solve for x. So I have 700 plus 1,200 plus 1,600 plus 2,000 plus x equals 8,000. So if I combine like terms, this is 5,500 plus x equals 8,000. Subtract 5,500, and I get x equals 2,500. $34. Oops. The relationship between x and y can be written as y equals mx, where m is a constant. If y equals 17, when x equals a, what is the value of y when x equals 2a? So this is a direct variation question. So we have y equals m times x. So when y is 17, x equals a. So this is m times a. Solving for a. A is 17 divided by m. So I go back to my original equation. Y equals m times x. What is x? What is the value of y when x equals 2a? So y equals m, and I'm going to say x is 2 times a. So this is 1a. So 2 times a is 17 times m. So when I simplify m divided by m, I get y equals 34. Last page. We're almost there. 35. In the equation above, a and b are constants. If the equation has infinitely many solutions for x, what is the value of b? Okay, so I'm going to set up for, I'm going to distribute, or I'm going to factor out 4. So I have the same values here. So I'm going to factor 4 out. So I have a times x plus b. I factor out a 4. This is going to be x plus 10 divided by 4. And 10 divided by, so it's asking me for what is b. So b is 10 divided by 4. And I simplify that, and that is 5 over 2. Or I can put in 2.5. I would think you'd have to have the simplified answer of either 5 over 2 or 2.5, so it doesn't matter if you do a fraction or a decimal, but I suspect the fraction has to be simplified. I'm not sure, so that's what I would do. 36. Oops. In the xy plane, a line that has the equation y equals c for some constant c intersects a parabola at exactly one point. If the parabola has the equation y equals negative x squared plus 5x, what is the value of c? So this is where I have a line, and it's a horizontal line. I have y equals c, and I have a quadratic equation. And this is y equals negative x squared plus 5x. So I am going to set y's equal to each other. So this is going to be c equals negative x squared plus 5x. So I'm going to move c to the other side. So 0 equals negative x squared plus 5x minus c. Oops, I put 6, so minus c. Now, usually when we work with this, we want to work with a positive number here. So I'm going to multiply everything times negative 1, so I get a positive x squared. So negative 1 times 0 is still 0. So I'm really just changing the signs of everything here. So x squared minus 5x plus c. So the question is, I have one solution. 1 point. So one solution. So the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac equals 0 for one solution. Okay, for one solution. So so A is 1, B is negative 5, and C is C. So substituting in B squared, so this is negative 5 quantity squared minus 4 times 1 times C, this equals 0. So I get 25 minus 4C equals 0. So I'm going to move 4C to the other side. So I get 25 equals 4 times C. So dividing both sides by 4, I get C equals 25 divided by 4. And I can put that in as a fraction, or I can put that in as a decimal, 6.25. Both are correct. Okay, last two questions. We're almost done. The Peregrine Falcon can reach speeds of up to 200 miles per hour while driving to catch prey, making it the fastest animal on the planet when in a dive. What is a peregrine falcon's maximum speed while diving to catch a prey in feet per second? Round your answer to the nearest whole number. So right now the speed is in miles per hour. So 200 miles per hour. So converting, I know 1 mile is 5,280 feet. So my miles are canceled. And in hours, I have 1 hour is 60 minutes. with my answer. And 1 minute is 60 seconds. So solving, I get 293.3 repeating seconds. And it says round to the nearest whole number, so my answer is going to be 293. Last one. We're almost there. If a peregrine falcon dove at its maximum speed for half a mile to catch its prey, how many seconds would the dive take? Round your answer to the nearest second. Okay, so if we're going 200 miles an hour, and I want to know in a ratio of a half a mile, how long would that take? So solving for x, I would be multiplying these and dividing by this. So x is 0.5 divided by 200, which is 0.0025 hours. And it's asking in seconds. So 0.0025 hours. So 1 hour is 60 seconds or 60 minutes. And 1 minute is 60 seconds. So it takes 9 seconds. And we are done. Awesome.